It's the FPL Double Up podcast, Wes, and we're back. It's only been what, 8 or 9 months? When did we knock it in the head?
Yeah, was it after Christmas last year? With you being too busy at your old job and stuff like that, I can't remember. But yeah, it's good to be back. I'm hoping it's gonna be a successful podcast today.
Yeah, I kind of threw the toys out of the pram. I think we'd been plugging away for a season and a half. The previous season was the best one it had, and then COVID just rumbled on. And I think I had about 2 or 3 weeks in a row where I made moves and COVID had people out, or fixtures were cancelled by captains.
Yeah,
And like whenever you're a diehard like you was, and it's like your job, you just had to roll with the punches. But I was like, I'm doing this for fun. I just threw the toys out of the pram for the first season in like 15, and on top of that, I was very busy with other stuff on other YouTube channel I do, but. Yeah, we're back, and I'm as bought into FPL as I ever have been, albeit my rank's not great, 1.2 million, but you're
early
sitting around
days.
550k. You've already popped a wild card, though, which we'll get into.
I have, yeah, and it actually got me my first red arrow. My game week one was pretty poor. A few good game weeks. Popped the old wild card, and yeah, it was. Yeah, we'll get into it in a minute, but yeah, it wasn't ideal, but I'm still fairly confident with how it's set up. I just didn't actually make that many changes in my wild card. I saw it as just a way of avoiding a big minus hit and just sort of slightly refreshing. I don't think my squad ever will, in these first 16 game weeks when we have to use our first wild card, I don't see my team needing to have a major overhaul. So I didn't mind only using about 4 or 5 transfers, I think it was.
Yeah. So, like, is there anything else we need to catch up on this season? What have you done? I went big at the back and went template relatively. A
Yeah,
few bad captaincy choices. A captain Jesus a few weeks ago when he played amazing. Who were they playing? Remember Odegaard got 2 goals. Played amazing, but got like
didn't get
nothing.
yeah.
A
Is that
disallowed
Bournemouth
goal.
away?
Yeah, it could have
Bournemouth
been.
maybe.
And
Yeah,
then I had like Salah captain and whatever else. I basically
yeah.
haven't had Haaland captain, and it's cost me. But
Yeah, it's an interesting point on Jesus actually because he is he's almost man of the match for Arsenal every game in his like centre forward performance, but then he's not really getting apart from that Leicester game when he went mental. He hasn't really had a really big FPL week, has he? If you look at his returns, it's pretty much all of them in that one game, wasn't it? So I stuck by him on the wild card. I debated Tony. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and moan about it too much, but that was quite a close call. So yeah, a bit annoyed about that. But yeah, apart from that, it's all good. Just
so
bear with
like
me a second, John. I'm going to just share the link on some WhatsApp hub chats that I'm
you
in.
work away. You work away. I
So I'll
suppose
try and do 2 things at once, but I'm not
I'll
really good at
I'll
that.
fill everyone else in. So essentially, what we're doing here now is we're back. This is the FPL Double Up podcast. This will be on the channel every week throughout the season up to game week 38. The rough schedule should be similar every week. This week is very much not necessarily a test run. We've put a lot of thought into the structure of the show. Any feedback we're keen to hear. But to give you an idea of what you can expect today, we're going to have a look at both our teams, our team review, and our transfer plans for next week. We're going to talk through 5 different talking points every week. This week we've got Tuchel is sacked, which is a big one. Which 3 forwards to go for is a big one. Do we keep expensive defenders or do we bin them for their cheaper counterparts? Salah, question mark. Which teams do we target this week in both attack and defence? And then we have an extra wee point there about United assets. We're going to talk about differentials each week, the double up differentials, 3 longer term ones and 3 shorter term ones each week. And then at the end, we're going to play our little game we've come up with, the Double Up League we can play. You can jump in the comments and play along each week and let us know how you do. And then we'll maybe finish with some quickfire questions. Wes, I've been doing quickfire questions with Bakar recently, and I've started doing a thing where I put a 5-minute timer on it, and then I time how many you can do. So Bakar got 53 yesterday. I wonder, at the end of this stream, can you answer more than 53 in 5 minutes?
I'll try, John, but you know that I like to waffle, and I know you like to tell me off, so you'll have to keep.
Well, this
keep
is
telling me
actually
off.
perfect because there's a 5-minute timer and your
Yeah.
pride's at stake. Bakar could answer more questions on you, so you need to be ruthless.
Well, what was it? 53.
53. He got 45
Okay.
last week. He got 53 this week, so he's only speeding up. You need to get those
Okay.
engines started.
I do.
If we head over to the website, that is an absolute travesty of a spoiler alert. Because
Have you done?
basically we had to rejig the stream. It had a spoiler, but no one knows what it means yet, Wes. That's the beauty of it. We roll with the punches. So this is your team last week. Game week 6, 41 points. Your wild card was played. Talk us through it, and then we'll have a look at your plans for next week.
Yeah, so like I said, I think it was only 4 transfers, which some people might criticise, but I basically had Rodrigo injury. I had Archer as my 3rd forward, and I wanted to bring 3 forwards in because obviously they're smashing it this year. And yeah, I had players like Robertson who I wanted to get rid of and Salah that I wanted to get the money out of. Now I'm still a believer in Salah, of course. He's been a little bit quiet. He'll still get points over these next 6 weeks and punish me slightly, but I'm hoping what I can do with the money will outweigh what he's delivering at the minute, which isn't obviously out of this world. For 13 million, we need out of this world really. So yeah, brought in Sterling and Zaha who blanked this week, but with the wild card, my advice to everyone who complains about a poor wild card after one game week is always the same, that you shouldn't judge it straight away. People who maybe wild carded 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe they bought in Tony, he blanked for a couple of game weeks, they could call that a mistake, and then he gets a hat trick. So, if Zaha, Sterling, Mitrovic, and who was my other change now? Nico Williams, cheap defender. So, if they bang this week, then the wild cards worked. So, yeah, it's very hard to judge it in 1 week, but I'm much happy with the structure. I am the one regret I do have is Tony, is avoiding Tony and keeping Jesus. Easy to say after the hat trick, but I think with Tony's fixtures, Arsenal having Europa League, and like I said about Jesus actually underperforming from an FPL point of view, that was a mistake. I'd say that's probably the only one. My three defenders all blanked, but they're all solid picks really. When I made this wild card, I was always a bit worried about not having any Newcastle defensive coverage. But you just can't have them all, can you? Look at that team there. Like, could I have taken out James for Trippier? Yeah. Could I have taken out Sanchez for Pope because I've got a bit of money in the bank? Yes. But I didn't do that. Didn't work out this week. But it's one of those. The only other reason I'm a little bit annoyed is my one free transfer. If I did do one, was probably going to be the double Brighton midfielders. So I was going to go Odegaard Gross. I was going to have Trossard in for the injured Rodrigo, who were like the same price, weren't they? But I had a feeling Robbo was going to get benched. Like I said, I had Archer, had a few issues, and we get essentially 3 wildcards this season. So I was very happy to play it. And I didn't want to have to keep playing -4s each week and keep being like unhappy with my teams. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking on wildcard.
Well, as you say, you can't have them all. It's not Pokemon Wes.
Exactly, John. Exactly.
So this is your team last week, 41 points. On a wild card, I'd say obviously we're a wee bit disappointed, but we won't judge it on 1 week. I've loaded it into the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool to have a look at next week. So what are your initial thoughts on what your changes might be? You've obviously one free transfer, don't you?
Yeah, one free transfer. So my current thinking is to save the transfer. Obviously, the news has just broke within the last couple of hours about Tuchel, hasn't it? So I've got 2 Chelsea players. Sterling's obviously a bit of a differential. James is obviously fairly highly owned. New manager bounce, maybe? Or are they a team in chaos? Not sure how I'm feeling about that now. They've got Fulham, though, who have done decently, but they are a newly promoted side.
You've Mitrovic there against James. I always hate that whenever you've kind of
Yeah, it's not ideal, but equally I've picked this team so that my bench is my bench every week, and occasionally players will play against each other. So yeah, they probably can't both return unless obviously they both get an attack in return, which would be nice. But yeah, I'm gonna, as always with a wild card, I plan to save the transfer the next week. Jesus has Everton at home this week, so I don't think he's worth moving on to. Well, no right or wrong answer. You could move him on to Tony or someone like Kane, because I have got 2.6 in the bank. I save the transfer this week. Next week, Jesus could actually become Kane if I decide that Kane's a better option than Tony, and then I'll just free up a little bit of money out of maybe one of the expensive defenders. So yeah, I'm going to save a transfer. I haven't wildcarded to then knee-jerk straight off these players. They've still all got good potential, decent fixtures. So I think I'm happy, but fuck knows.
Super Duper in the comments says this team needs a wild card.
Yeah, give me your Super Duper. Yeah. Let me get these comments up. They always make me laugh.
So my team, a couple of people might have seen it already. I've done a couple of videos already this week, but just to fill anyone in who missed it, 42 points with the -4, so 38 net. Trent was there, Cucurella, Cancelo, Ramsdale, just everyone letting me down. Nico Williams got something, but he was part of the -4, so essentially, I don't know. I brought him in for Robbo, he was played instead of Robbo, and I also brought in Luis Diaz instead of someone, Rodrigo. So yeah, kind of down, up a point maybe. I don't even know what it works out at, but yeah, whole team disappointing. Salah, Fry, Mbappe. I'm happy I captained Haaland, and I'm happy I had Pascal Gross, but yeah, just not a great game week, as I think it wasn't for many of us. But yeah, I've one free transfer next week. If I pull up my team for next week, I'll just have to make it look a little bit sexier on the screen. Maybe it's a wee bit off for people. I don't know what to be at really, Wes. It's one of those ones where I kind of like the team and I want to roll it. I don't like the Spurs fixture for City, but I don't hate it either. Cancelo got 2 assists in the Champions League, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Haaland's Haaland, just can't stop scoring. Everyone else
Yeah.
has okay fixtures. The Arsenal lads have Everton there. Nico Williams has Leeds. Cucurella has Fulham. Bournemouth for Gross. The only one who I'm actually sick of, but I am probably just getting itchy feet, is Mo Salah. And when I have Mo Salah and Luis Diaz, I just think it's a lot of money, but I think I have to give them Wolves, keep the 2 free transfers, and then maybe next week's the week that I pivot away.
I agree with that.
Bit rogue for a week before the wild card, maybe, get rid of Salah and Diaz or something mad next week and just pick 1 week punt before the wild card. Maybe, I don't know, but I think this team's a roll for me.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I like your thought process in terms of give them Wolves, see how they get on, and then next week you can move to the likes of a Sterling, a Zaha, another Brighton midfielder if you wanted to, or really target that. Did you say you're going to wildcard in Game Week 9?
Probably after Game Week 8, going into Game Week 9, yeah.
So see who's got the best sort of Game Week 8 fixture and really just try and, maybe an attacker playing Leicester or playing Bournemouth, something like that.
Just go balls to the wall for a week could be fun as well. The thing is, right, here's a talking point for you that I hadn't planned, was Salah, right? It's one of those where I've seen a few comments on the streams and stuff I've done this week where it seems to be a case that everyone's like, oh, the experts are all just saying, give him Wolves, we need to give him more chances. We've given him 6 chances and he's delivered on 1 maybe. And then he's kind of, luckily with the old shoulder assist, half delivered in another one. And do you know, how many chances does Mo Salah get before we just go, it's time to move on? Because obviously every single week we've been keeping him recently, it's massive opportunity cost. And if we give him more chances and he blanks against Wolves, you could argue that everyone that pivots out before Wolves has made the best FPL decision, depending on the outcome. I don't know. I just feel it's Mo Salah. Give him more chances. And that's all very fair. But when's enough? Like if someone's cheating on you, you don't keep them coming back every week because of they didn't cheat on you for 7 years and then they've cheated on you every week. You're not going to keep them because of that.
Exactly. He cheated on me one too many times, so I got rid of the wild card. But I think he is. I think with Salah he has regressed in this sort of calendar year, hasn't he? Since AFCON, the back end of last season wasn't amazing. It was okay. It's just 13 million. If he's priced at 10 million or 11 million, then absolutely keep him. And I've obviously got rid of him on a wild card, expecting him to pick up the odd goal here and there, pick up the odd assist here and there, but he's just not delivering the Mo Salah returns of old. So I don't think there's a right or wrong in your scenario or in other people's scenarios. There literally isn't a right or wrong. You can hold Salah for this Wolves fixture, or you could jump off. You could make the argument that Wolves are one of the best defensive teams in the league. I think is only 4 goals conceded. I know that Wolves have had easy-ish fixtures, so they probably are. They're not going to keep that up now. They've got a difficult run, I guess. But I think Salah isn't returning those numbers. And when other people are firing, not many people have really got Kane because they've got Haaland. Could people shift the Salah money into a combination of Zaha or a cheap Brighton mid, and then you could upgrade someone like Archer to Kane? So there's a valid argument to get rid at the minute because players like even De Bruyne's delivering, Kane's delivering, but in no one's team. If Haaland wasn't in the league this year, Kane would be 60% owned, do you think, with those returns? Because he's ticking over. He's not, again, he isn't exploding, but he's ticking over and slightly better than Salah at the minute. But I think with Salah is in that, I've had him obviously most of the season. That Man United game, you could look at it 2 ways. Was he lucky that he got that goal because he was quite quiet, or is it just Salah being in the right place? And the same with that shoulder assist. Is that luck, or is that Salah always being in the right place, always playing 90 minutes, blah, blah, blah. But I think with Liverpool's fixtures, let me just I've got the fixtures in front of me, just need to find Liverpool. They've got Chelsea away in week 8. Is that even a tough fixture at the minute, though, to be fair?
New manager bounce. I saw a funny, Wes is frozen on me there. Don't know if he's frozen on you. I seen a funny article there, and it was about Fofana, who's obviously went to Chelsea from Leicester, finally escaping Brendan Rodgers. And it's just like the David Brent thing, sort of going like, bloody hell, no way. Because obviously Brendan Rodgers might be linked to the Chelsea job now. Wes, if you can hear me, I'd say you just need to rejoin, amigo, and you'll be back in. But I'm happy to carry this ship in the meantime. So I think there's a couple of things we need to talk about this week. Something I actually want to pull up while we've got Wes's hilarious face in the bottom corner there is, we'll have a quick look at the overall ownership of players. And then we're going to look at the top 10k ownership. So overall, Haaland is the most owned player in the game, 78.6%. Oh my god, I'm double in the bottom right. Look, this is a John Nellis double up. What on earth's happened there? This is the double up no one wanted and no one needed, but it's the double up you've got right now until Wes returns. So Haaland 78.6% owned, which is obscene numbers. Gabriel Jesus, I'm laughing at my head in the corner twice. Gabriel Jesus 77.4% owned. I think that's only going to drop now because a lot of guys are going to be pivoting into their Mitroviches and their Tonys and their Isaacs. And Jesus, that fixture swing coming. This is probably going to be dropping over the next few weeks as we get further into the season. Mo Salah still up at 48.5. Again, we could see a bit of an exodus when wildcard time comes. Cancelo, I think a lot of people will have got a bit of confidence from that performance in the Champions League. Super duper. We still doing random questions. Of course we do random questions at the end. Don't you worry. Trent in there, 46.5, still hanging on, even though he's been a wee bit disappointing so far this season. You could say, obviously, that night was it 19 points he got against Bournemouth. We've got Martinelli, we've got James, we've got Trippier, Luis Diaz there. All the players we're seeing on all the teams. Surprised Martinelli's actually still there considering how good he's been for 6.5 million. Arguably the value pick of the season. Pascal Gross at 6 million coming in. Nico Williams, he's high because he was in a lot of teams, I think, in the initial build. Whenever we initially built our teams, Nico Williams was all in them all because of the 4 million price tag. And in terms of his numbers and his XGs and his XGIs and stuff, he's stayed in a lot of teams and actually came into a lot of teams. Danny Ward there because he's a non-playing goalkeeper. Sorry, he's a playing 4 million goalkeeper. We have Perisic there, who maybe surprises me. He's looked incredible, but I thought enough people were scared off in game week 1. Surprising me he's there. Mitrovic, always rising, I think. Andreas, again, the enabler on the bench who's proved sort of decent value. De Bruyne, Saliba, Tony and Sanchez, and you'd imagine Tony will just rise. Maybe De Bruyne will rise as people grow fed up of Salah. But that's the overall ownership, and it's interesting to see how that compares to the top 10k effective ownership for game week 6. So, in a nutshell, without going really deep into it, effective ownership, for anyone who doesn't know what it means, is it's basically, I think, watch a guy butcher something. So effective ownership is for everyone who owns Haaland, it counts as 1%, but then if they've captained Haaland, I think it counts as 2%. Am I wrong? Can someone let me know in the comments, give me a really detailed description? It's basically everyone has Haaland and everyone's captain, and therefore in the top 10k he's 191% effectively owned, which means if you actually just have Haaland, you're gonna lose if he gains rank. If you just have Haaland and he scores well, you lose rank because he's 191% owned. If it's over 100 and you haven't done more than just own him, you're screwed. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. This is why Wes the expert is meant to be here, but unfortunately we've got this chump below me. So Jesus there, 93%. Cancelo coming in at 84.42. Salah, 82. Trent up there as well. Martinelli, Luis Diaz, James, Perisic. And now we're getting into the territory of when your player does well, you gain rank. Now you would be gaining rank among them all, but I mean Pascal Gross just 26.81% effective ownership. That really means that if he gets the goal and he scores a 14-pointer, if he scores a 9-pointer or a 10-pointer, you're gaining rank. Trippier there, still somewhat differential. Mitrovic, Odegaard's up here. Ederson, people still have Ederson. Nico Williams, Saliba, Mendy, and Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva's a really interesting one. I'd actually like to go and have a quick look at his numbers myself, because the thing I found with Bernardo Silva is that, let me just go and check him out. Man City, what are his numbers like? He's 7 million. And so far this season, he has a 13-pointer, a 9-point, and a 6-point. 2 goals, 2 assists. He also has a 3-pointer. But yeah, goal and assist for the 13-pointer, a goal for the 9, and an assist for the 6. He's picked up 5 bonus points in that as well. And the reason he was maybe not in so many teams was Pep Roulette was number 1, and number 2 was maybe the links to Barcelona. But over the last 4 game weeks, I think since those Barcelona rumours were put to bed, he's played 90, 90, 90, 72 minutes. So he has been playing a lot of minutes, which is exactly what we need. I'm just going to ping another link over to Wes there to see if he can jump back in. Otherwise, this double up has become the most disappointing double up in FPL history. But yeah, I think like Bernardo is one of those where I think we could see him rise in ownership. I think like over time, at 7 million for a Man City mid, if he proves to be as nailed as he has been over the last 4 game weeks, his potential output, he's looking really good. Do you remember it was maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago? He was incredible, like arguments for player of the season. He was just outstanding. And then he dropped off a cliff. It looks like he might be on his way back in to, I don't know, our thoughts, I suppose, from an FPL standpoint. I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to have a look at a few differentials that may, just to keep this show on the road, that me and Wes kind of picked out together. We've got long-term differentials and we've got short-term differentials. We'll have a look at them, and then we've got 5 talking points I want to discuss, but I think they're better to have Wes here because he's the expert. And then at the end, we're going to finish with our double up game, which I could do without him if all goes tits up, but unfortunately his Zoom, he's in my WhatsApp panicking now that his Zoom's disconnected. I don't know if any of you seen it, I seen a wee light flicker behind him not long before he cut off. Call it Stranger Things vibes, call it a power cut. The weather's brutal here, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but he'll be back in. So short-term differentials, so I'll do the short-term first. Short-term differentials are players that me and Wes had to look for that are under 5% owned, that are good for the upcoming game week. And that's kind of what we were specifically looking for here. This was a case of look at one game week and tell us who's a good pick. So, you know, Trossard has been talked about everyone. He's obviously playing against Brighton. He's obviously playing against Bournemouth for Brighton. 6.5 million. I was actually surprised at his ownership because he's been talked about a lot in the community. 6.5 million. People want to be aggressive before the wild card coming up, game week 8, game week 9. 3.9%, 6.5 million. He's up against Bournemouth. If I go and actually pull up his numbers, I'll head over to the Opta stats on the Fantasy Football Hub site in the toolbox. And in terms of his XG so far this season, his XG is 1.52, but he scored 2 goals. His XA is 0.86 and he's got 2 assists. So you could say he's overperforming both his XA and XG. His expected points is 25.97, but he has 32. So he has been performing all the expected stats. He has 11 shots in the box, 2 big chances. He's created no big chances. He's got 11 key passes, though. So he has been doing well. And, you know, there's talks of Gross, who is obviously higher owned. I have Pascal Gross. There's also talks of McAllister. The reason Pascal Gross isn't here is obviously his ownership's high. But McAllister is, you know, in this conversation too. I just think Trossard's numbers are better. If we move on to Morgan Gibbs-White, you know, Gibbs-White, everyone was talking about him last week targeting that Bournemouth fixture, and I think in fairness to him, he got an assist. I just need to double check that. Let me go over and find his numbers. So Morgan Gibbs-White, yeah, he got the assist, 5 points against Bournemouth. They got beat 3-2 there by Bournemouth, actually. And yeah, Gibbs-White, at the time of recording, 0.4% owned. His numbers have looked good. Let me get him up. Gibbs-White, he has, in his 6 appearances and 447 minutes, he has 0.63 XG for no goals and he's 0.31 XA for an assist. So he's outperforming that slightly. 6 key passes. He's only got 1 goal involvement, which was that assist. He's had 1 big chance himself, and he's had 6 shots, 2 of which were outside the box. 2 of which were on target, 3 of which were in the box, 3 outside the box. Only 13 points, but he has definitely, but maybe, I wouldn't say he's outperforming the price tag of 5.5 million, but he's definitely outperforming his ownership. Do you know? This is why it's called the double up, everyone. If you're just tuning in, Wes is disconnected, so I'm down in the corner here, doubling up quite literally. This is like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Oh my goodness. Yes, Colm Bugler said it himself. Don't forget to hit the like, people. Thank you very much. And then Dominic Solanke came in here, bit different. We thought we'd throw him in. Up against Brighton this week. 3 o'clock on Saturday. He looked really good in the last game. He looked really, really good. Great assist at the end of the game, I believe, wasn't it, to win the game for Bournemouth. He did very, very well. He hasn't played a lot this season. He got 90 minutes against Villa in the opening game. He didn't play against City or Arsenal. He got 45 versus Liverpool. But they were three really tough fixtures for us to maybe rate Bournemouth on. And all of a sudden they became whipping boys, but they played Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool, who were the three I wouldn't say Liverpool were the form team in fairness now, but they were on form that day. Since then, he's got 180 minutes versus Wolves and Forest, and against Forest he got a goal and assist and 3 bonus for a 12-pointer. And when we look at him, as I say, these are the short-term differentials. The thing with Solanke is they're differentials, right? It's very hard because everyone's going to go Mitrovic, Isaac, Tony. One of them, you've also got the potential upgrade to the likes of Harry Kane, and we all have Haaland in our teams. So Solanke, finding room for him will be hard. But the other side is this is differentials, and maybe you do want to go against the grain. Maybe you're playing draft and you want to try and get a trade across the line with someone in the league. Maybe Solanke could be good for a couple of weeks at just 5.7 million, a bit cheaper than all the other options. Possibly a very easy upgrade from the likes of an Archer or a Greenwood. So they were our short-term differentials we were going to discuss. In terms of long-term differentials, some of the ownerships here again surprised me. Fofana coming in at 4.4 million. Chelsea's defence is still in disarray. We've been talking about how in disarray they are for 3-4 weeks now. Probably 4 or 5 weeks now. 6 weeks maybe even. With the exodus over the summer. Thomas Tuchel has now been fired. He's gone. Fofana's come in from Leicester. 4.4 million. They got beat 1-0 last night by, was it Dynamo Zagreb? Should never have been happening. So it's hard, it's hard. Targeting a Chelsea defender seems counterintuitive right now, but when we look at the quality of Chelsea and the quality they've had over the last few years, and the price tag of Fofana at just 4.4 million, 2.3% ownership, it does kind of,
I'm back.
He's back.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I've tried my best to carry the ship, but you're back. I'll let you know what we've done. I had a look at the ownerships and I've had a look at our short-term differentials. We're just under the long-term differentials.
Nice.
So I was just talking about Fofana, and basically the spiel I've given is that 2.3%, 4.4 million is a beautiful price. Chelsea are proven over the last couple of years. It's kind of like the Salah debate where we know how good they can be at defence. If you actually look at their defence in isolation, every player is a world beater. Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Fofana. Then we've Cucurella and Reece James and Chilwell coming in there. But Tuchel out the door. Maybe the new manager bounce, who knows? But it does seem weird to maybe target a Chelsea defender, but at 4.4 million for such a pedigree defence, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that because, especially at 4.4, what I'd probably try and do is if I was going to go for Fofana, is have him as a bench option. So if I was playing 3-4-3, he'd then be my first sub. And therefore, if Chelsea do go to shit, then it doesn't matter too much because he's a bench player. If Chelsea improve now under the new manager, then he's there ready to go. He's only 4.4 million and he's an absolute steal. So yeah, I'd agree with everything you said there on Fofana for sure.
2.3% ownership, Wes. I don't think he'll be that for long.
Yeah. And who's it? Did you speak about anyone else in this section which I missed?
In this section, I haven't talked about anyone. I've been through all our short-term differentials. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to them, but I just went through Trossard, Gibbs, White and Solanke. Is there anything you particularly wanted to say in any of them?
Nothing particular. I think what I was thinking about earlier with Solanke is obviously in the context of there being loads of other forwards available. I can't see myself going there. However, as a differential with those fixtures for Bournemouth, it's Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, Leicester, Fulham, Southampton. All 6 teams aren't, top 6 teams. I know Brighton and Newcastle aren't easy by any stretch of imagination, but yeah, if you did want a differential up front, whilst everyone else will be going for Kane, Tony, Haaland, Jesus or Mitrovic, those 5, he'll be a super differential for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I was saying it is hard whenever you've got such good options out there outside him, but he is only 5.7 million, and I think the thing is, Bournemouth, while they did get beat 9-0 by Liverpool, were given very hard press, but they did have Arsenal, City and Liverpool back to back. So judging them off that, obviously the sentiment isn't quite with him, and he did very well
Yeah.
to get 12 points in the last game. So maybe with those fixtures, it's an outside shout, but I won't be going there personally.
No. They beat Villa and Forest, didn't they? So they're two easy games they've actually won, and then they've lost the three they should have. So yeah, let's see. They could surprise us all, and so could Slanky, I think.
Just to fight through the longer term differentials to get this show moving, because we've some topics to discuss as well, and then obviously our game to play at the end. We've talked about Fofana here. So Isaac, I was surprised again to see his percentage, because he's been talked about a lot of people. I think Bakar was saying he would pick him over the likes of the Tony and the Mitroviches. I don't know if he would pick him over Mitrovic. He'd pick him over Tony, he was saying to me earlier in the week. 4.2%, 7 million. Newcastle are just not the same club that we have in our heads over the last couple of seasons. They're a different beast altogether, and Isaac has looked brilliant since he's come in. 4.2%, like, I was surprised he was in this bracket, to be honest.
Yeah, and a bit similar to like we've said with Slanky, there's all the other options there, but he is a super differential because of his ownership. In terms of, I still do prefer, if I was to pick my FPL team this week on a wild card, for example, Isaac wouldn't be in it. It would still be like.
Has it happened again?
In the Championship for 12 months and then started this season well. Tony's obviously off the back of a hat-trick. So I personally still prefer those boys coupled with Haaland. So there just isn't space for Isaac in my team, really. But yeah, Newcastle's fixtures are great as well. So you could definitely go for a worse option than that. How is he going to fit in with Callum Wilson, do you think, John?
I have no idea. Is the God honest truth? What's the story with Callum Wilson? When's he back, or what's the story with him?
I think maybe someone can let us know in the comments, because I think it was meant to be soon, wasn't it? And can they both play a bit more? I just don't know how that's going to work, and who drops out of Newcastle's sort of midfield to accommodate both of them. Because I think Howe is going to want to play both of them, I imagine, because I can't really see him not playing with Isaac. I don't know. So it's a bit. If they did share game time, that's obviously a reason to avoid. If if they play together, they could both be options. Not the same. Don't get both of them, of course, but they could, in their own right, be options.
Yeah, it's probably one of those that it's a bit of a wait and see. A lot of people want to jump into Isaac, but I suppose be aware of the risk that maybe it's one of those where we need to just talk to some Newcastle fans or jump on some forums. But I'm just sorry. There's a comment there that's got me, Vindy. I'm disappointed John hasn't done the Spider-Man meme. Someone needs to make that afterwards. Me with my two heads, and John interviewing myself.
When I left, was it you on both screens?
Yeah, because Zoom automatically popped my head up there too, so it was just me talking to myself. Anyone who switched on, who do you know what's so funny, right? There's definitely people out there who don't know who I am, don't know Hub, who stumbled across this looking for FPL content. It's called the FPL Double Up, and they thought that my gimmick and my thing was that I talked to myself. They actually were like, "Who's this tool talking to himself?" They legitimately would have thought that, and they've either subscribed or maybe you came in then and they were like, "Oh no, this isn't what I'm here for."
So they're left now.
I'm here for this crazy bastard talking to himself. I shouldn't have said the bad word. So the Maddison is the third one here, and we threw him in more because Brendan Rodgers is out the door. 2.9% owned for a player that was so quality last season, who has quality. And Leicester, I think, as a team, have quality, but they've just been so poor. And maybe there'll be the new manager bounce. Maybe there'll be a sort of just a change here. So it's almost a longer term speculative kind of punt.
Yeah, I really like Maddison. He ended the season last year really well, obviously. Started this season off fine as well. If you look at the first 3 game weeks, I think he returned in all 3, maybe 2 assists and 1 goal. I can't quite remember, but he takes corners, got an assist that way. Shoots from free kicks, can score outside the box, can get inside the box to score. I think what's obviously hampered Maddison is Leicester's collective form. Although they have still scored goals, as we've seen, against even when they lost against Arsenal 4-2, was it? And lost against Brighton 4-2. So attacking-wise, they're still scoring goals. So I see Maddison as still a reliable or fairly reliable source of points, and he should improve, under, like you just said, new manager bounce should help Leicester in general, I'd say, especially going forward. Defensively, I don't know what they're going to be able to do because they've lost too many good defensive players and they've lost Kasper Schmeichel. So, but that doesn't matter for your midfielders and attackers, really. If they get goals and assists, that's all we care about.
Yeah, the sheer injuries they've had in defence, in particular, over the last season has just been obscene. Remember how good Ricardo Pereira was? He's just so unlucky. You have to feel for players like that. And I've seen Soyuncu's
Yeah.
been linked away to playing Turkey or something. I don't know what the story with that is, but I seen that article yesterday.
Yeah.
Another comment here just to laugh about, and then we'll get into a couple of topics. Was Trotter Bruno? That's one way to double your appearance fee, John. I'm not sure Will's going to fall for this one when you submit your expense claim to him at the end of the month. You imagine me just running the Double Up podcast on my own and like charging an appearance fee for the guest every week.
Yeah, send him the screenshot that to prove it of you talking to yourself.
You're the Freddie Mercury Barcelona one. I don't know if you know this way, is where like one side of his face is like painted as like one person and the other side of his face is like another. I could just keep turning and talking to myself.
Yeah,
maybe any week you can't make it, that's what I'll do. So yes, what are we going to talk about next? Ways we have lots of topics. I'm going to start throwing them at you, and we'll try and burn through them. Couple of minutes each, will not dwell. So Tuchel sacked. How's that going to affect the Chelsea assets across the board? Obviously, you brought in Sterling on your wild card. Reece James is the one that everyone here probably owns. Outside that, there was mountain teams earlier in the season. You know, Cucurella is in a lot of teams, and there's a few others sniffing about. Is it a case of wait and see with the uncertainty, or pounce on it? I see your dog behind you, which is
it is. Cute. I probably wouldn't be bringing in. Yeah, if I was obviously wildcard this week, I think I might avoid all of them. I'm not sure how to think about them right now. I'll obviously hold because I've got them, but a lot of things depend on what happens next. So is the new manager going to play with wing backs? Because obviously Reece James gets a lot of his points because of the role in the team. You know, we see it with Spurs and Chelsea. Those wing backs play as forwards almost, don't they? And, you know, they get their points that way. If they go to a flat back four, I'm probably more inclined to maybe jump off Reece James. I know he'll still have some potential and get some points, but you know, at that price, not to be at wing back, I'd probably jump off. And same with someone like Sterling. He was obviously signed by Tuchel, playing week in, week out, 90 minutes, getting the goals for them so far this season. If his role in the team changes or becomes maybe the new manager doesn't fancy him as much and rotates him a little bit, then obviously at 10 million, I'd have to get rid as well. So, yeah, I think they're all pretty much wait and see. You've also got the potential resurgence for players like Havertz and Mount under a new manager, or who else is sort of forgotten about there?
Chilwell is one that worries me the most, because like I have Cucurella and I'm sitting there thinking like I've been worried anyway about him and his minutes, and now I'm like, oh no, this is like this is bad, because best case he keeps the minutes he has, but worst case / more realistic case is minutes reduced, because Chilwell's so effective when he plays and he's fit. So he's the one that really worries me. I don't think Reece James can be displaced in that team. The only worry is that whoever the new manager is doesn't sort the defense out quick enough, or doesn't play with attacking fullbacks, which they probably will, because that's what everyone does these days. But it's kind of, I don't know, I think the big one maybe getting rid of more recently, Cucurella. But I think it can only be good for the defense, because the defense has been so shocking. So I think it can only be good.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement there as well, because they keep conceding. Like, they lost 3-0 to Leeds, wasn't it? And obviously lost last night in the Champions League against obviously lesser opposition. So it can't get any worse from their clean sheet potential. So, yeah, I guess it's a good thing. Depends obviously how long it drags on, like the new manager process. I guess it's going to be a caretaker for this weekend. I guess there's still time to appoint someone, but yeah, I think they'll hold, wait and see. Probably if you haven't got them at the minute, you can kind of just wait and see how it goes, can't you? Then maybe look to bring them in after Fulham away. I think Chelsea's fixtures are still pretty decent as well. Let me just bring them up as I talk. Where are they? Chelsea. No, a bit of a mixed bag actually after Fulham. They've got Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Wolves. So, yeah, you don't need to rush and jump on them. Wait and see how the new manager goes.
Forwards would you go for in a wild card? So we're going to imagine Haaland's there. Okay, so Haaland's locked. Mitrovic is probably borderline locked. And I think you've already said you're going Tony over Isaac. So is that your answer, or is there anything you change there? I think we've already kind of answered this question.
Yeah, my three forwards now, like I said, it is my regret on my wild card. And I know it's easy to say, Tony over Jesus frees up a little bit of money, and it gets that nailed on 90-minute man on penalties and stuff like that. So, and Brentford's fixtures are still okay as well. So yeah, they would be my three, but also you can't discount going for someone like Kane and spending your money elsewhere. Like, for example, like I said, if Chelsea now look like a team you want to avoid, for me, I can easily swap Sterling for pretty much any midfielder and then upgrade Jesus to Kane with the money I have in the bank. So, yeah, you can't really argue with the front three of Kane, Haaland, and Mitrovic, can you? So you just have to, like we said earlier, we can't have them all. There's 5, 6, maybe 7 forwards who are all legit picks, and you need just that little bit of luck to pick the right one, and hope the one you don't pick don't do as well as the ones you have, really.
It's nice. It's funny that the game's kind of pivoting from the whole big at the back thing to more of a big at the
Yeah.
front thing now, isn't it? That's just how the game goes. Um, the next topic we were going to discuss was: do you keep the expensive defenders like the Trents, Cancelos? Robertson's probably already gone for a lot of people, and I think if he isn't, he's as good. He should be as good as gone out of people's teams now with the rotation risk. But we have the likes of Trippier there, who everyone's wanting to get in. Dunk. There's other sort of more budget friendly defenders. This Fofana we've just mentioned. Do we stick with the big at the back a bit longer, or if people are wildcarding this week, do you stray away in some way, shape, or form?
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because with someone like Trent, Trent's a bit like Salah, where you're almost going off history and you're waiting for him to bounce back with and become an amazing asset again. We thought that maybe happened against Bournemouth because he got his goal, which was a screamer. He got his assist, and he got a clean sheet, didn't he?
He would have, about 10 other chances as well.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously in the Everton game, was very close to a clean sheet. The new 5 subs rule probably worked against him there because I think if it's only 3 subs, Klopp probably doesn't make that change, does he? Probably prioritises bringing on because he'd already made a sub at half time because of an injury. He probably saves players like Jota to come on, but rather than Milner coming on for Trent when they actually need a goal seemed a bit bizarre to me. Hopefully, it's just maybe managing his minutes a little bit, and now he's going to fly. So yeah, I think stick by Trent. His underlying numbers, if you're sort of a stats guy as well, are still pretty good in terms of, like you just said, John created a load of chances. So his expected goal involvement stats are good. And yeah, Liverpool defensively, Matip coming back should help their clean sheets. So yeah, I think I'll stick by him. And Cancelo, as well, like you said, Champions League, clean sheet, 2 assists. He's got a goal and assist in the Premier League as well. So yeah, I think a little bit of a mixture. I wouldn't have 5 heavy hitters now. I like a mixture of it right now and being a bit more balanced, which is why I've got the 3 sort of premiums. Plus I've got 2 cheapos with Nico Williams and Patterson.
Well, Trent still has the highest XA of all defenders in the league. He's like 0.01 ahead of Nico Williams, which is kind of interesting with Nico Williams'
his stats are good.
Yeah. In terms of key passes, he's the most of any defender. He's 13 key passes. In terms of XGI, he isn't at the top, but he's kind of top 6. In terms of expected goals, yeah, he doesn't really feature in the top 10 there. But the thing that's interesting here when I look at it is in terms of expected points, he's actually kind of just playing to his expected points. He's not like exceeding them. And a lot of the guys just below him in terms of like Nico Williams is sort of out. Actually, let me have a look here. Nico Williams is way behind his expected points. I don't know what I was going to say here. There was something interesting to say, but I've lost it. Bottom line is Trent is still topping this kind of creative metrics for defenders.
Yeah.
But I suppose the question is he topping them enough to justify the extra 2 million over the likes of a Trippier or the extra 3.5 million over the likes of a Nico Williams? That it's the comparative value more than his value is.
Exactly that. And it's very similar to Salah. Like, I think if you got rid of Salah and Trent, you're not saying that these players are going to blank for 6 weeks in a row. What you're saying is, yes, they'll pick up some returns, but they haven't got their essential tag on them like they've had for probably, it feels like 3 or 4 years consistently. Those two have been maybe not that long, but they've been almost essential, haven't they? And even when they're, sometimes they're blanked, people have taken them out and it's been like, what are you doing? That's a huge mistake. They're so close to huge returns all the time. Right now, it's not quite that. So I think, yeah, like I say, you can argue it either way. If you go without Trent, had Trippier, are you going to match Trent's points over the next 6? You'd probably come close and you'd have, 2.5 million in the bank. So a bit like my Salah to Sterling move, that was the kind of logic there. And I think it's a sound logic. For once this is probably the only time in the last 3 or 4 years I'd say that Trent isn't close to essential.
Cool. Well, I tell you what, Wes, a very quick plug for Spitch, who are bringing this show to you. They're sponsoring it. So Spitch are kind of like FPL, except there are much more things on the pitch scored: shots, blocks, interceptions, all the rest, things like that, tackles. So every single action on the pitch will contribute to the score. It's not just the big things that we see in FPL. There's season-long tournaments, there's paid tournaments, there's free tournaments, there's weekly tournaments where you can get involved and have a crack. It kind of reminds me of SoRare in many respects, without the whole NFT and thousands of pounds to get started part. So if you want to give it a crack, check out the link in the description. There's already a bunch of sort of fantasy football hub managers over there giving it a go. The link is in the description. It's just a different way to play FPL and definitely worth a crack. So we're looking at Salah or no Salah. You've already discussed your logic. Is there anything you wanted to throw in on top of that, or have you kind of covered it?
Yeah, I think I've covered it, haven't I? We spoke about that a lot. It's almost, just to quickly summarise, I think he'll score points over the next six, but it's what you can do with that cheaper midfielder who, there's a lot of good midfield options as well, like we keep saying about the forwards. There's the cheap Brighton mids. There's Zaha, who we haven't really spoke about a lot. He's in my team. I'm a big fan of his this calendar year. Um, so yeah, it's what you just said, John, was really good about. It's their sort of comparative value and what you can do. That's all it is with Salah for me. If he scores, it's not like a people can't really tweet me saying, "Oh, I told you so." It's like, well, yeah, Salah is going to
Salah.
score some points,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
is he going to get enough to justify the 13 mil price tag? And it's the captaincy factor as well. I'm going to be on Haaland most weeks, whereas normally it would be like you'd need that extra captaincy option. 13 million to not captain them. Like I said, you can go, and Luis Diaz is in the Liverpool team. Downgrade to him. You've still got that Liverpool attacker. Diaz can match Salah for 5 million cheaper.
And there we go. Wes, have you gone again? Is this double up about to come a sexier double up? Is this double up about to go double? I think we might be. Wes might be back. He's having internet issues. I think it's a weather problem. But I'm going to talk to you about our next topic. He was giving you the bit about Salah, and I think he pretty much got out everything he needed to say, to be honest. I think in terms of our next topic, which is going to be which teams to target, attack, and defense-wise, there's no better way. There's no better way to look at this than the fixture analyzer on Hub. So if I have a quick look at it, and sort this out by the next few game weeks, I'll sort it out to about game week 12. Overall, if we have a look at the best fixtures, we're actually looking at Leicester. I'll see if I can pull this up on the screen for you. I don't know how. Look at this. Anyone who signs in now is going to think I've made a podcast called the FPL Double Up where I talk to myself. All right. This has thrown me because this is too funny. So let me go. What was I doing? I was about to show you the thing on Fantasy Football Hub. Let me see. Can I pull up the website? Here we go. So this is the fixtures sorted between game week 7 and 12. When we look at them sorted at the top, we've Leicester, and then we've got Bournemouth, then Fulham, Newcastle, and Palace, West Ham, Leeds. Down towards the bottom, we've got Wolves, Spurs, Chelsea, City, Everton, Liverpool, Arsenal, United. And what's really interesting there, and this is why a lot of people, you'll notice, are popping wild cards around now, it's because a lot of these teams that we've had players from have big fixture swings where things get hard very quickly. A lot of the big the big four, big six haven't really been playing each other too much early in the season. Hence, they've all had great fixture runs. But now they're playing each other. Over the next 6 games there, Spurs play the likes of City, Arsenal, and Man United. Chelsea play Liverpool. That's about it for them, actually, but they do have a few other tough enough fixtures in there. Man City play United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs. So, we'll really see how good Haaland actually is now, I think. Liverpool have Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man City. So, a lot of these teams, and even one more, Arsenal is a team we've had a lot of players from. They've got Spurs, Liverpool, and Man City. So, the lighting's different. Upper John looks more tanned. The lighting and camera quality. That's it. That's literally an example of camera quality right there. So all these really highly owned teams that we all love and that we've all been targeting are about to have a big fixture swing. Whereas if we look at the top there, now I know Leicester are again in a bit of mayhem at the minute and maybe we don't target them yet. I see Maddie in the comments from Williams Tropical Farm. But the thing here is, we need to wait and see with Leicester in many respects. I would maybe give it till after that Tottenham game. If they bounce back this week and have a good performance against Tottenham, maybe then we target them for Forest, Bournemouth, Palace and Leeds. Bournemouth there, this is why we mentioned Solanke earlier, even though maybe it's going to be hard to fit him in the forward line when we've such good forwards out there. But I mean, Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, Leicester, Fulham, Southampton, great fixtures. Mitrovic is coming into a lot of people's teams. Maybe not essential against Chelsea, even though they have been conceding and he can score against anyone. But after Chelsea, Nottingham, Newcastle, who aren't easy, West Ham, Bournemouth and Villa. So these are the best fixtures, and at the bottom we see the worst. I can actually toggle these in terms of attacking fixtures, what's best. Man City and Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea, Arsenal all come out of top because they just score for fun, kind of irrelevant of opposition. And the likes of Forest, Bournemouth, Everton, Wolves, Fulham, teams that are more struggling to score are closer to the bottom. I wouldn't say Fulham are struggling to score, but you know my point. That's kind of the general logic. And then defensively, This is how we're looking. I would argue Chelsea should be a bit lower here. But this is how we're looking, just to show you that. So that was that. And then the last topic that we were going to discuss was Man United assets. And if we look at Man United's fixtures, actually, I'll go back over to that graphic for us. If we look at United's fixtures over the next 6, and we'll just look at them in general, United have Palace. You'd think they could score. Leeds, City, Everton. City's tough. Everton, Newcastle, and Spurs. They don't have the best fixtures, but they've bounced back, and they're definitely playing better football over the last couple of weeks. Let me just have a quick look at their previous results. If we look back at last game week, they were 3-1 against Arsenal. Great performance. Rashford did amazing, coming into everyone's thoughts. 1-0 against Leicester before that. 1-0 against Southampton before that. They beat Liverpool 2-1. So the last 4 games, they have won. They've definitely shook off that kind of Brentford 4-0 defeat and getting beat 2-1 by Brighton. They started the season very slow, but they've won 4 games on the trot now. And this is bringing them into a lot of people's thinking. In terms of the percentages of teams selected by, in defence, their most owned player is Diogo Dalot, just 4.5 million wingback. He's got an assist this season. He has got a clean sheet, or he's got 2 clean sheets under his belt, and he's got 6 bonus. So he's been doing pretty well. So he is in our thoughts, I suppose. Rashford up to 15.2% owned after his 2 goals and his assist against Arsenal. That's 3 goals, 2 assists so far for the campaign, coming in at 7.6. That's a lie. His form is 7.6 on FPL site. Coming in at a price of 6.5, which is, again, very, very cheap, considering he was a 9 million plus man in a couple of seasons past. Past that, we're looking at Jadon Sancho, who's got 2 goals already, 4 bonus points, but he is 0.8 million more expensive than Rashford, so maybe looking at him feels a little bit strange whenever Rashford's in such good form and 0.8 million cheaper, albeit over double the ownership. Anthony came in. I would like to see a bit more. He's even more pricey than Sancho and Rashford. I'd be interested to see how his minutes shake out. He was subbed off, was it at half-time in the last game? Now he got 57 minutes. He got the goal. But 7.5 million, I don't know. I'd probably go Rashford. Eriksen's there. I think the only option you have here in midfield is Rashford, to be honest, because they're all very similar in terms of their output, except Rashford's the cheapest and he's off the back of a great performance. Outside that, you could look at Bruno as a premium if you're feeling ballsy, 2.4%. And if we look up top, Ronaldo's just not getting the minutes. 20-30 minutes a game coming in for single points isn't what we want. And Martial is red flagged. So I think in terms of United, for me, I would probably target Rashford if I was in a wild card, or if I wanted a punt for a week or two. Maybe I'd think about Rashford, but I don't think I'd be moving heaven and earth. Crystal Palace leads in the next 2. Rashford could be fun, but I don't know. I don't know is the bottom line on everyone else in that team. I just think in certain teams you get the front 3 and one of them is always dominating and getting most of the attack and returns and whatever else. I think in United, any of these wingers, like the Sanchos and the Anthonys and the Rashfords and whoever else, I think any of them, I'm not saying they're all playing wing at the minute, but you know what I mean. I think any of them could get the points, and I think it's going to kind of jump about. I don't think there's an outright best option apart from price tag at the minute, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we were going to do is show you our double up league. I'll talk you through Wes's options. It's a shame he can't be here at the minute to talk us through his logic. But let me show you the rules for what we're doing this season. So the double up rules, we're going to play the double up game at the end of each episode. And what I want you guys is to get involved in the comments. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do some quickfire questions for 5 minutes. So I will answer questions and see who Wizzy asking. Questions will be answered. But the rules of the game me and Wes are going to play is we have to pick a double up of players. So 2 players from the same team. It has to be a below 1% top 10k combined ownership. So what that means is in the top 10k managers at any one time, we need a below 1% combined ownership of the 2. So less than 1% of teams have to have both of the players. So we can't just go Haaland and De Bruyne every week, Salah and Luis Diaz, Salah and Trent. They need to be a bit weird. Can't use the same team twice in consecutive game weeks is rule number 2. And rule number 3 is the loser at the end of the season will shave off their beard. Now, again, this is hilarious if someone has signed in right now. I could move my face, but I kind of like having two there. I think it's very funny. But people here are probably thinking I'm saying whichever one of these two guys loses shaves off their beard, and they think I'm trying to make a shit joke. Someone do the meme. Someone do the Spider-Man meme. So the loser at the end of the season is going to shave off the beard. So I'll show you Wes's picks first, and then I'll show you my picks for game week 1. Wes has went for a Leeds double up this week. He's went for Harrison and Sinisterra. Obviously now this week Leeds have Nottingham Forest, so a nice team to target. The combined ownership of these two guys in their first 11 in the top 10k is 0.01%, so you could say this is a very, 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 very differential double up. Sinisterra looked great the last couple of weeks. He's looked very, very good. So I actually kind of am a bit worried about this. I am. The thing with Sinisterra from an FPL option, I suppose, is that when there's the Aronsons and the Harrisons, saying that is hard. The Aronsons and the Harrisons there, it's hard to justify the extra cash for a Sinisterra. So he's went for Sinisterra. He's went for Harrison up against Nottingham. Be interested to see how they can do. Just to have a quick sort of recap over how they did last week. Harrison has blanked in 3 consecutive games. He got 14 points against Chelsea in game week 3. And in terms of Sinisterra, he's got 2 goals on the bounce. 63 minutes, 58 minutes, so he mightn't finish the game. 10.5 points with a goal in each. Now, he did pick up a yellow card in the last game, hence the 5-pointer. So, I don't know. I think my guys are going to absolutely dance all over him. I think my lads are about to have a ball because I'm playing the fixture. I'm going against Bournemouth. I've went for Brighton, I've went for Trossard, and I've went for McAllister. I couldn't pick Gross because his ownership is too high. So McAllister comes in. Obviously, we've seen how good is his right foot. It is his right foot. We've seen the free kick. We've seen the disallowed goal last week. Absolutely incredible. I was amazed at Trossard's ownership that I could get away with him. They're playing against Bournemouth this week. I think I'm going to dance all over Wes this week. I think he's going to have a nightmare. McAllister and Trossard are going to be in among it here. Brighton could do. I think this looks like it could be an out 3-1 job, a 3-0, 4-0, 4-2. I don't know. I just think Brighton are going to score a lot. Bournemouth could get a goal or two, even though Brighton's defence has been good. But I just think these lads are going to be in and among it. And even if McAllister doesn't do great, I think Trossard has a double-digit haul in him. So for me, Trossard or Sinisterra, I see in the comments there from Robin, I would go for Trossard. So that is my double up for this week. Wes is coming back in. Let's see if he connects okay. If he does, maybe he can talk us through his picks. He's here again. You're having a nightmare.
Yeah, internet down twice. Absolute nightmare. Apologies, everyone, but
no worries.
Can't be helped, unfortunately.
It meant they got a more handsome double up. Now you're dragging down the average good looks.
Who was there? Not you twice again, was it?
It was, yeah. It was.
Perfect.
So, look, you're back just in time. So we're going to do the part where I pepper you with questions. But first, I've talked through my double up picks. I've explained the rules. I've went for Trossard and McAllister against Bournemouth. Nice. I've got them on the screen now. Top 10k ownership, combined ownership of 0.02%. So I'm targeting Bournemouth with the 2 Brentford lads. And I've shown them your picks of Harrison and Sinisterra. Yeah. Talk to us about that quickly. I've already kind of explained the fixture and whatever else, but
yeah, exactly that. It's basically targeting the fixture. I checked that Harrison wasn't injured or something because I know he only got 45 minutes. He said he was just a bit tired, so I'm hoping that's still a good sign. And yeah, it's Notts Forest at home. They've conceded a lot of goals, a lot of chances. And the goals, if anywhere, because of obviously Bamford and the forward situation, the goals are going to come from the midfield and the assists. So I could see those two actually linking up. Harrison with the assist, Sinisterra with the goal. I could see that happening this week. So yeah, hopefully I beat you this week, John.
So that is your pick. I don't think you're going to beat me. And just to go over the rules very quickly again while you're here. Below 1%, top 10k combined ownership. Can't use the same team in consecutive weeks. And this is the reason I've pulled this back up. At the end of the season, one of us is shaving our beard, Wes.
Yeah. And also, if anyone can think of another good forfeit in the comments, let us know and we'll incorporate that as well, won't we, John?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let us
shaving our beards. And I don't know, I've never seen you without, I don't think we've ever seen each other without a beard because I've had a beard for years now. I think you have as well. So have you ever done a video without one?
You might be able to see this. I shaved, I don't know, Wes, I'll show your camera first, Wes. Can you see that?
I can.
That's whenever I shaved my beard last time. That's how disappointed my girlfriend was.
Hold it down a little tiny bit.
Sorry.
Put your phone down slowly. That is fantastic. Get that on Twitter, John.
So this is what could be happening at the end of the season.
That is beautiful.
I might have to rock a moustache, but
Yeah, that'd
so
be funny.
I'm hoping I can beat you. I think I'll have you this week, to be honest, with the Brighton boys. But
Yeah.
so we're gonna do it very quickly and then wrap up. Wes, I'm gonna stick a timer on my watch here for 5 minutes, and with 5 minutes to see how many questions you can answer. So it's up to you. You can answer 3 questions in that time if you want, but they are called Quickfire. Historically, you might get through about 8.
Yeah.
Bakar got 53 yesterday, or 2 days ago. Yesterday,
I'm getting 54 then.
so what I'll say to everyone in the comments is, you have 5 minutes. Get your questions in, A or B, or yes or no, and Wes is going to pepper them out there. So get your questions in, and we'll answer as many as we can. I'll give this maybe 20 seconds for questions to start coming in, then we'll hit go. But yeah, Wes, the internet will be sorted for next week. It's one of those things that's
Very
out of your
good,
hand.
but yeah, it's been crap today, which is
It's out of your
very
hands,
annoying.
though. There's only so much you can do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit 5 minutes and go for it if you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The internet's gonna make this hilarious because it's gonna stall and people are gonna get half answers. But let's just do it. So 5 minutes. Let's go. Bruno, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Bowen and Antonio.
No. Avoid.
Trossard or Sinistera?
Trossard for the longer term.
Okay. Trossard or Sancho?
Trossard still, yeah.
Harrison out for a -4.
No. Not as far as
Paqueta?
at home. Say again, sorry?
Paqueta?
I'm not sure about an FPL option, so no, avoid.
Best Walker replacement?
Oh, probably go cheaper with someone like Nico or someone like Fafana or someone like Dunk.
St. Maximin or Rashford?
Ooh, Rashford's on fire. It's going to have to be Rashford. I transferred him out after 2 blanks this season, so it's so annoying every time he scores. But yeah, I'll say Rashford for that one.
Bench 1, Saliba, Harrison or Mitrovic?
Has to be Saliba, I guess, in that scenario.
Tough
one,
benching.
though. Yeah.
Double up with Gross and Veltman for 2 weeks before wildcard.
Yeah, I probably prefer Estupian or however you say it, or maybe even Dunk from Brighton. But yeah, I like that.
Sell Cucurella for Trippier?
Because of Chilwell, I was
Give us one non-Brighton Foden replacement.
a non-Foden replacement. Probably would have to be Rashford.
Rashford, I like it.
Yeah.
Please pick one as a 2-week punt. Trossard, Sinistera, Rashford.
Well, that's close. Rashford.
Oh,
it's close.
Keeper sale Robbo.
Sell. Too much rotation. His underlying numbers are really crap as well. I looked at them before getting him out of my team. Really not creating chances. Or he's got corners in his locker. That's basically it.
Salah, Haaland, or Gross for captain this week?
Haaland. Gross is a good player, but yeah, not captain material when you've got someone like Haaland firing.
Screenshot and record this when Gross gets 12 points this week and Haaland blanks. I can't wait for it. I love that. I love that we put ourselves out there like that. Anyway, I'm burning your time. Isaac or Tony?
Tony.
Cancelo or Harrison, who to start?
Got to try and start both there, but I don't like the idea of benching Cancelo. Real tough one, 50-50, but start Cancelo.
Did I ask you this already? Trossard or Sancho?
I can't remember. I think I said, I'm not sure. I'll answer again. Trossard.
And Trossard or Rashford? I think you answered this.
These are so close. I think Rashford. They're all good options of these players that you were asking me to pick between. So, go with your gut on them as well.
Nico or Patterson?
Nico, for sure.
Captain Kane or Haaland?
Haaland, for me, is a perma captain. Especially, he only played 70 minutes last night, didn't he, John? So, I'm fairly confident he starts again.
Trossard or Gross for captain?
Haaland. Trossard or Gross for captain. I guess Trossard's got a little bit of extra goal threat at the minute. Gross is on the corners. I'll say Trossard then in that scenario.
Bowen for Salah next week?
Not feeling Bowen or West Ham assets right now. I could be wrong. I could be sleeping on them. But yeah, for me, there's better players out there doing the business.
Bench James or Zinchenko?
Probably Zinchenko. I think Reece James could just get a goal, assist, clean sheet in any game, couldn't he? I don't like the idea of benching Reece James ever really if you've got him.
Is this a good idea? Walker to Dalot to get Archer to Mitrovic.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because that changes your structure. And Dallo, actually, I should have brought Dallo up. He's a really good Man United asset because he's only 4.4 still, maybe
Yep.
4.5 now,
F-
and doing really well.
Fofana or Dallo?
Dallo,
Dallo, okay. Start
yeah.
Cancelo or Trippier.
It's gonna have to be Cancelo again. I don't like these setups where you have such benching headaches, but yeah, in that example, Cancelo. Just back to the last one quickly, John. On Dallo, his bonus potential is good. He often gets 3 bonus if he gets a clean sheet. He's got assists in his locker, really cheap. And Man United seem to have turned a corner defensively. I can't believe I'm saying this. A few weeks ago, I'd have been like, avoid all Man United defensive assets. But yeah, right now, they're looking much better. So sorry, yeah, next question.
Ederson or Pope?
Hope 100%.
Gross or McAllister?
I think still Gross. McAllister's got these long range worldies, free kicks, and penalties obviously a big factor. Gross has more from open play. For me, I'll still stick with Gross, but those penalties are a big factor.
Anthony, Saka or McAllister?
McAllister because it saves money on the other two, and Anthony. I don't like a new signing to the Premier League. I'd rather have Rashford if you're going to go United.
Time up. Wes, you got 30 questions done.
30 questions in 5 minutes. That's not too bad, is it?
I think
Not as quick as the big man. Yeah.
No, well, you see, he's ruthless. He's yes, no, yes, no. Whereas you're giving a bit of context, so both have their positives. You're giving a bit of reasoning. So Wes, yes, I think that's about it for this week. Next week we'll try and have less technical issues, but that's just life. That's what happens. Internet's out of our control at the end of the day. But if people could like this, if you enjoyed the Double Up being back, please do subscribe to the channel, like it, and let people know on social. Would help us out big time. And we'd see you next week, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, apologies for the internet. Really annoying, especially as I pay top premium to do stuff like this, and then it cuts out twice. So yeah, fuming, but what can you do?
It is what it is. So guys, look, have a great game week. Enjoy the Champions League. Enjoy the Europa League. Enjoy whatever else. The Europa League is on this week, isn't it? Of course it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Arsenal on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been like Champions League fever. Haven't even thought about it, but I can't wait because I always think the Champions League's done, and then all of a sudden we've got a little kicker of the Europa. But all right.